All right, hey everybody, it's week two. So welcome to week two. We're going to get into module two this week. And um, a few of you watched this video for the module one overview last week. Awesome. Thanks for that. I'm going to hope a lot more students watch this module two overview video because I'm going to keep it short, but I'm going to highlight a couple of really important things for you to consider to help you get through some of the more just challenging work this week because this week the challenge really ramps up. So let's get into it and see what we've got to do and what you're going to find. And I'm excited to see how it's all going to come together for you. So when we get into this space, here we go. We just have, oh, it looks like just a couple pages. It's not going to be that bad. Well, how I highlighted that you need to find at least 6 hours a week to focus on our course. That's going to be very true this week. I'm expecting that you're going to spend at least 6 hours moving through these materials. Some of you will spend more. I doubt very few of you will spend less. Okay, at least if you're not, at least to do a good job. So let's get into the things you need to do and how you should really break this down. So we are working on a research proposal this week. And a research proposal is this document that's going to outline some of the early research that we've found and is proposing kind of a path forward for what we're going to do next and how we're going to move forward with our research. We have a lot of learning activities here. Again, are we using APA or MLA? I just heard all of you say APA, so good job. You all passed. We're using APA format. So with that, you're going to look at a couple of things related to, just proposals and how some of that language works, using the appropriate resources and all of that. All right, so that is going to be a lot of your literature reading and some of your watching down here because we have a good description of different source types. Most sources that we use will be secondary sources, but ideally we will want to find some primary sources. And we might even use a random tertiary source here or there too. A lot of what we'll use are secondary sources like most academic journal articles for us. You can see here that we have two assignments due this week that have points related to them. We have a synthesis grid assignment and then our full research proposal. So let's go into one here. We have a sample research proposal. We'll go back to that. But we have a discussion board post as well. This is a third graded assignment. It's just not listed here as this space because it should be. This is just a mistake on my end. So sorry about that. I'll try to highlight this so that way it's up there for you as well, and it's in the space for you to submit. But anyway, we have looking at multiple secondary sources. So for this discussion board, and the initial post is due by Saturday, you're thinking about your research topic, right? And you're thinking now about your research question that you're taking the next step forward in our course. Remember, our course is all about building up a lot of research that's going to lead us to a long paper at the end of the semester. So all the work we're doing right now is to help us write that paper at the end of the term. And one thing that we want to do is we want to make sure that we're investigating multiple databases. So you're going to go to another database, something that's different than opposing viewpoints in context. It might be issues and controversies, it might just be standard EBSCOhost, but you're going to use a different database, and you're going to look to try to find two more sources that speak to your topic in some way. And then you're going to work to really quickly summarize each of them. It's a couple sentences, a very broad summary, right? Look at the abstract information. If you're dealing with a really difficult article, that's where the writers themselves have summarized their work for us. And you're summarizing that even further. So really brief summary. And then you're kind of throwing them against one another. We're doing a little bit of comparison and contrast. And then we're going to respond to a classmate, and we have some questions here to help us respond in order to fill out and earn the remaining points for this assignment. But here is our synthesis grid, and this is just this is a research tool. So as simple as that, it's a research tool. And let me put it up over here. It's a research tool that's designed to help us start to organize some of our of our sources. So you're going to, again, using those databases, and here there's no database limit, right? Whatever databases you want to use, but you want to find some sources and note them, note what they are, their themes, a useful quote from them, and just something about how they seem to be written. Do they seem balanced? Do they have logical fallacies within them that don't make sense? Things like that. Now you'll see here at the top, it says research synthesis grid, 2 primary sources and 3 secondary sources. If you find some primary sources, great. If you don't, that's fine. You are not going to be penalized for not having primary sources in the synthesis grid. Okay, I want you to understand what primary sources are, but if you don't have any in this early research phase, that's fine. That's not a problem. You're not going to lose points. Okay, so this would be maybe an ideal breakdown, a couple primary sources, mostly secondary sources, because that's mostly what we use. But if they're all secondary sources, you're not going to lose any points. Okay, so I just want to note that here. And then we have our research proposal. Now the instructions take us into this space and the things that we need to do and move forward with them. And the biggest piece here gets into the drafting the research proposal for how you want to break it down. So you're writing around 3 or 4 pages of writing, double spaced. That doesn't include your, your final references page, but you should label each section. Okay, develop section headings for each section. All right. Now, in this, for the definition of the topic and the rationale, this kairos, the exigence, it's the reason why. It's all about why is this an important topic to research. Then we get into reviewing the research you found so far. So bring in 4 of your sources and you're synthesizing here. You're explaining kind of how they seem to agree and disagree with one another. So that requires time, right? You have to find those sources, you got to read those sources. That's where, the time starts to tick up here. So as you read and as you're reading the sources you're finding, make sure that you're taking some notes, make sure that you're trying to read actively, not passively, meaning, you're trying not to be distracted. You're really focusing on the article at hand. You're trying to think about their arguments, trying to think about the information that they're providing you, and so on. Then we get into your research question, a note about who your intended audience is for the research that you're doing and the work that you're building toward. And then your plan. What's your research plan? What are you going to be doing next? How are you going, like what other articles you're going to be looking for, etc. And so we have some little bullet points here to help you think about that question. Right now, the most important thing, if you're looking at all this and like, gosh, week 2, I am just overwhelmed, I'm swamped. I get it, totally get it. Today's Monday, you have until the following Monday, right? You've got a week to work on this. So don't try to take, don't try to put the whole apple in your mouth, right? Take a bite of the apple each day, get into a little bit of this, and remember that it's going to be really difficult for you to do anything until you have some sources that you've found through our databases. So use the library databases, reach out to librarians if you're having trouble finding sources, etc. And begin to find a couple of sources, because as soon as you have your sources, as soon as you've read your sources, then you can start to move in through all this stuff, right? The discussion board this week asks you to, compare 2 sources new sources that you found, right? The synthesis grid is a really brief listing of your sources and some really, really brief information about them. And then we have this proposal here, which asks us to look at 4 of our sources at least within the literature review, which is going to be the biggest part of the research proposal. It's going to take up the most space for you. So what's the common denominator? The common denominator is sources, and we've got to find them, and you've got to find them because I can't find them for you, right? Because I'm teaching the class, I'm not, doing the writing for the class. I've already done this. I've done this a lot of times. And so I'm here to help you do it for your first time or for, one of your early attempts. Now, all that said, just remember that the more you can break down your work, the less stressed you'll be. And as soon as you have any questions about anything that's being asked for here, reach out to me through email. I'll respond to you within a day, Monday through Friday, no questions asked. And And that's how you want to think about it, right? I'm here for you. I do these little overview videos just to try to frame the work that you have, but it's on you as the student, right? All of this has been built for you. It's an online class. It's an asynchronous online class, meaning we're not in there doing it together at the same time, all of us. We're all on our own schedules, with me as the fulcrum point to swing from as you're swinging between all these sources and then coming back to me with questions when you have them. So thanks for watching this. Take my advice to heart and let me know if you have any questions. I'll leave you to it. I'll be grading the work that you've just submitted recently. I'll be scoring that, probably beginning tomorrow. I try to always have your work graded within 7 days at the latest. Typically, I can do it within 3, 4, 5 days ish. So just watch for your scores to come through there. And I think that's it. Okay, thanks everybody. Well, let me actually stop sharing and then, well, now we'll stop recording.